1. In the deep blue waters of the ocean lived a beautiful mermaid named Seraphina. The shimmer of blue and golden hues on her tail was like sunlight dancing on pearls. Her long golden hair floated with the waves, and in her eyes glowed an unfamiliar spark. Seraphina was the rarest of all in her kingdom, yet her heart carried a strange restlessness. She would often sit among pearls and seashells, wondering what the world of humans might be like. Was the sky truly blue above the surface of the sea? Do people really breathe without water? And do they dream the way she does? Seraphina would often talk to her friends, the other mermaids. They laughed and teased her, asking why she always spoke of humans. One of them giggled and said, "Seraphina, it seems you're searching for a human." Seraphina would laugh with them, but then fall silent, for deep down she knew this wasn't just curiosity. It was an unknown feeling that unsettled her heart. To ease her restlessness, she went to see an elder mermaid who lived in the depths of the sea. The elder's eyes held the tales of the ocean's past, and her hair had turned white. With great respect, Seraphina said, "Wise mother, my heart longs to see the world above. You have seen everything. Tell me what it is like." The elder mermaid sighed and said, "The world above is beautiful, filled with light and colors. But remember, there are dangers too. Humans are not like us. Some may love, but most fear what they do not understand, and what they fear they often harm. Child, every wish demands a sacrifice. Think carefully before you step forward." But Seraphina's heart ached even more. Then came the day she finally reached the surface of the ocean. It was evening, the sun was setting, and the sky glowed with shades of crimson and gold. Birds soared in the air, and the water sparkled with golden reflections. When Seraphina saw this for the first time, she was overwhelmed with wonder and joy. At that very moment, her gaze fell upon a large ship in the distance. It glittered with lights, and music filled the air. The ship was alive with celebration. At its center stood a young man, tall, with deep eyes and a confident smile. This was Edward, a brave voyager who had set out to sea with his friends. They were celebrating his triumph. One of his companions shouted, "Edward, this celebration is for your courage. You've completed this journey splendidly." Edward smiled and replied, "This isn't my courage, it's the sea's blessing. We can never conquer the ocean, it only allows us passage. But my heart wishes that one day the sea will reveal all its secrets." From afar, Seraphina watched him. For the first time, an unfamiliar light flickered in her eyes. Her heartbeat quickened, as though she had known this man for years. That moment felt like a dream to her. And the narrator says, Seraphina did not realize that this very first glimpse would change her destiny. For the man she saw upon the ocean's surface, Edward, was the one whose love would lead her life onto a new path. And fate had already decided that the worlds of the sea and the land would soon collide. It was night. The reflections of lights were dancing on the waves of the sea. On the boat, a celebration was in full swing. People were singing songs, music was playing, and Edward was laughing and joking with his friends. Yet, in the air above the sea, an unfamiliar silence began to spread. Dark clouds gathered in the sky, and the wind started to grow stronger. It was the moment when the sea was preparing to show its true power. One of Edward's friends looked at the sky and said, "These clouds don't look right. A storm might be coming." Another replied, "Our ship is strong. Don't worry." But Edward's face had turned serious. He said, "Never underestimate the power of the sea. We must be prepared." Within moments, the gentle wind turned into a fierce storm. Thunder roared, lightning flashed across the sky, and the waves began to batter the boat. People screamed as the music was drowned beneath cries of fear. The boat shook helplessly, like a toy in the mercy of the raging waves. Far away, Seraphina watched in horror. She knew this storm could easily claim lives. Her eyes fell on Edward, who was trying to hold everyone together. He gave courage to the sailors, but suddenly, a giant wave struck and swept Edward away. Seraphina's heart nearly stopped. For a moment she froze, but in the very next instant, She darted into the water with all her strength, swimming straight toward him. The sea was dark, whirlpools were forming, but Seraphina's eyes focused on only one thing: Edward. She reached him quickly, finding him unconscious, his hands floating helplessly in the water. Wrapping her arms around him, she swam upward with all her might. The whirlpools tried to drag her down, but her courage did not falter for even a second. At last, she brought Edward close to the shore. A cool breeze touched his face. Gently, she laid him down on the sand and gazed at him with restless eyes. This was the first time she had seen him so closely. His eyelids were closed, but his face looked as if he were peacefully asleep. In a soft, trembling voice, Seraphina whispered, "I saved you, but I wish you knew who I am." A strange ache stirred in her heart. She knew she couldn't stay there for long. If humans saw her, they might be afraid, they might try to capture her. She cast one last lingering look at Edward, then slowly slipped back into the sea. Moments later, Edward coughed and opened his eyes. In a faint voice, he murmured, "Someone saved me?" I saw a light, a shadow, but the shore was empty. Only the waves remained, silently carrying away the secret of the one who had saved his life. This was their first meeting. A life was saved, a heart had skipped a beat, but the story had only just begun. The seeds of love had been sown, and soon they would grow into a tale that neither the sea nor the land would ever forget. Edward rested on the shore for many days. His friends and the sailors believed he had survived purely by luck, but inside Edward's heart, one question echoed again and again. Who was she? That light? That shadow? Was it a dream, or was it real? At night, when everyone else slept, Edward would walk to the sea, stare at the waves, and whisper, "I remember, someone saved me. I felt her presence." Who was she? Meanwhile, Seraphina was caught in the turmoil of her own heart. Every day, she would swim from the depths of the sea to the shore, quietly watching Edward. When he walked along the sand, she hid in the water, her eyes fixed on him. When he sat on the sand, weary and thoughtful, she stirred the waves ever so slightly, as if she longed to let him feel her presence, but she never found the courage. One day, Seraphina whispered to herself, "Edward, you will never know who saved your life. My heart longs to be near you, but if I come close, your fear could cost me everything." Her mermaid friends often warned her, "Seraphina, going near humans is dangerous. They won't see you as a friend. They'll capture you. Forget him." But Seraphina would fall silent, her heart answering softly, "How can love ever be forgotten?" Edward's own heart remained restless. By day, he laughed and joked with his people, but every evening he found himself drawn back to the sea. Sometimes he would toss pebbles into the water and watch the ripples. Sometimes he would think, "If only I could see that shadow again. If she is real, I will find her." One evening, when the air was gentle and the sea calm, Seraphina came closer than ever before. She hid behind a rock, watching him intently. Edward sat on the sand, speaking softly to the sea. "If you can hear me, if you truly exist, then know this. I want to see you." Hearing these words sent a shiver through Seraphina's heart, like lightning rushing through her veins. Tears welled in her eyes. She wanted to rise to the surface and reveal everything, but fear held her back. Instead, she lifted the waves just slightly, letting them roll gently toward Edward, as if to answer him. Edward looked at the waves in surprise, then smiled. "Perhaps it's only my imagination, but I believe there is someone out there, watching over me." Time was passing, but Seraphina's restlessness kept growing. Day or night, only one name filled her heart and mind: Edward. She would watch him from afar and wish that she could be a part of his world. But every time she thought of going closer, the other mermaids would stop her. "Seraphina, this is impossible. The world of humans and mermaids is separate. You're only dreaming. If you truly try to be near him, you will lose everything." Seraphina listened to their words, but her heart whispered back, "How can love survive without sacrifice? If I don't risk my life, how can this love ever be real?" Caught in this conflict, one day she went again to the elder mermaid, the same one who had once warned her about the dangers of humans. This time Seraphina spoke her truth. Elder mother, my heart is no longer at peace. Without Edward, I feel incomplete. I must be near him. I must become human. The elder mermaid took a deep breath and said, Seraphina, this path is not easy. If you wish to become human, you must sacrifice the most precious thing you have. Your voice, the voice that echoes in the sea like a song, the voice that makes you unique and special. You must give it up. And remember, if Edward cannot love you, if he cannot make you his, you will lose the sea forever. Her words struck Seraphina like lightning. To lose her voice, the voice with which she sang, laughed, and expressed her heart. But in the very next moment, her heart replied, if my silence can bring him happiness, then this price is not too high. With tears in her eyes, she said, I'm ready to give up my voice. Just make me a part of the human world. The elder mermaid raised her staff and warned, remember, your decision will shape your destiny. Suddenly, the waves of the ocean grew fierce, and a circle of light surrounded Seraphina. Her tail slowly transformed into human legs. The pain was sharp, but her heart filled with strange joy. She knew she was now closer to Edward's world. When the magic ended, she lay on the shore, completely human. But her lips were silent. Her voice had been taken forever. It was morning. The rays of the sun drew golden lines across the sea. On the shore lay an unconscious young girl. Her long golden hair was scattered across the sand, and her eyes were closed. This was Seraphina, who had sacrificed her voice to become human. After a while, Edward came near the shore. From a distance, he caught a faint glimpse and was stunned. He rushed forward and knelt beside her. Oh my God, who is she? Edward whispered. He gently lifted her and looked at her face. At first sight, he was captivated by her beauty. When her eyes slowly opened, they met his, and for a moment time, seemed to stand still. Edward asked softly, Are you all right? Where have you come from? Seraphina moved her lips, but no sound came out. She was silent. Edward thought perhaps she was frightened or too shocked to speak. He reassured her, Don't worry, you are not alone. I will take you with me. And so, he brought her home. Edward's close ones were astonished. Who was this girl, and where had she come from? But Edward silenced them all. She will stay with me. When she wishes, she will tell us everything herself. Days passed. Despite her silence, Seraphina was slowly becoming a part of Edward's life. She would walk with him in the garden, watch him from the window as he read his books, and secretly rejoice at the sound of his laughter. Edward, too, found himself drawn to her more and more. One evening, as the two of them sat by the shore, Edward looked into her eyes and said, It's strange, you don't speak, yet your eyes tell me everything. I feel as though I have seen you somewhere before. But where? A storm raged inside Seraphina's heart. She longed to tell him, Yes, I'm the one who saved you. But her lips remained sealed. Tears welled in her eyes. Seeing her tears, Edward gently said, If you don't wish to say anything, then don't. Even your silence tells me a story. Days kept passing, and Edward and Seraphina grew closer to one another. Though Seraphina could not speak, her silent presence brought peace into Edward's life. He began to see her as his companion in joy, in sorrow, and in every thought he carried. But in Seraphina's heart, there was always a heavy burden. If only I could tell him the truth. If only I could say that I was the one who saved his life. One night, as the moon poured its silvery light over the sea, Edward and Seraphina sat together on the shore. Looking at the waves, Edward spoke. Seraphina, you are strange. You never speak, yet I feel every emotion of yours reaching me. My heart tells me that it was you, the one who saved me on that stormy night. At these words, tears welled in Seraphina's eyes. She held Edward's hand, but her lips remained sealed. She longed to cry out, Yes, it was me, but the vow of sacrifice had bound her silence. Suddenly, a glow rose from the waves. It was the elder mermaid, the one who had turned Seraphina into a human. Her voice echoed like the sea itself. Seraphina, your sacrifice has touched both the sea and the land. You gave away your voice, but you kept love alive. Your truth and your patience have proven that love is never complete without sacrifice. Now it is time you receive back what is rightfully yours. A radiant light spread around Seraphina. She felt life return her lips. With trembling words, she finally spoke. Edward, it was I who saved you on that stormy night. I am a mermaid of the sea, and I sacrificed my voice to become human, only to be close to you. Edward stared at her in wonder for a few moments. Then a smile spread across his face, and his eyes grew moist. I knew it. Deep in my heart, I knew this wasn't a dream. Seraphina, you left your world. You gave up your very identity, only for me. Seraphina lowered her head and softly said, Yes, because you are the dream of my heart, and love is truer than any dream. Edward took her hands into his own and said, Then from today, your dream is reality. I will never let you go. And so, the two worlds of sea and land became one. Seraphina and Edward's love proved a timeless truth, that love without sacrifice is incomplete. And when sacrifice is true, the universe itself blesses love with success. In the end, the waves of the ocean seemed to celebrate their story, and in the moonlight, their reflections shone as though the universe itself had adorned their love with its light. If you enjoyed the story of Seraphina and Edward, let us know in the comments which aspect of love you found most beautiful: sacrifice, patience, or truth. For more magical and heartwarming tales, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, like the video, and share it so that the message of love and sacrifice can reach as many people as possible. We'll be back soon with another touching story. Until then, stay happy and make love a part of your life.